New to intermittent fasting, but don't know where to start? I'm Jack, and on today's episode, we're going to be breaking down intermittent fasting step by step from its ancient roots to a beginner-friendly action plan. This is your ultimate guide to getting started with intermittent fasting. So what is intermittent fasting? Well, it's just not another diet fad. It's about timing your meals to allow periods where you don't eat, interspersed with times when you do. This method really isn't new. It's been practiced for millennia through our ancestors. Different cultures and different regions have been practicing fasting because it was a necessity. We didn't always have food as a human species. We would have to track it, hunt the animal, or forage plants, and sometimes we were just unlucky those days. So guess what? We would starve. Today, intermittent fasting is now celebrated for potential health perks, weight loss, improved metabolic health, and longevity. Why did all of this happen? How did we go from a species that just used fasting as survival to now using it as a trend? Are there some crazy benefits? Let's get into it. So why fast? When we fast, our bodies initiate cellular repair processes like autophagy, where cells digest and remove old and dysfunctional proteins. Autophagy means to literally eat itself. You're eating your own cells, the ones that are dysfunctional. Fasting can also improve insulin sensitivity, which helps with managing blood sugar levels and even rejuvenate the immune system. It's amazing for cancer patients because it can help with natural killer cell activity. So you would see a lot of cancer patients who undergo chemo would fast before and after the procedure. Can help potentiate the effects of chemotherapy. Huge researcher that looks into this is Dominic D'Agostino and Thomas Seward. Now, let's talk differences between men and women for fasting. For men, fasting can significantly affect weight loss and insulin sensitivity, possibly due to increased growth hormone production. However, women should approach fasting with care. The female body is particularly sensitive to caloric restriction, and aggressive fasting can disrupt hormonal balance. Women may find help or success with shorter fasting windows or less frequent fasting to maintain health. So I'm gonna get into a schedule of how women can do it versus how men can do it. But you gotta understand, women need to be constantly eating. They have a very delicate hormonal system. Back in the ancestral days, it was kind of like women were at home, taking care of the land, being stewardesses. They had access to the food. The guys would go out and starve and hunt. So women's are a little bit more gentle. So now let's get into the beginner's starter guide for fasting. Here is a simple plan for men. For guys, here's what I want you to do. Start with the 16-8 method. You're going to fast for 16 hours and then eat during an 8-hour window. What does that mean? What that basically means is that we're going to end dinner at 8 p.m., let's say. 16 hours would mean that we're starting our first meal of the day at noon while we sleep, and that whole morning we're not eating anything. Now, there are a few things that are allowed, including water, coffee with no creamer, no sugar, no milk, no anything. Anything that has calories should be avoided. From personal note, I do want to say that if you're trying to build muscle or be in an anabolic state, I like to supplement with essential amino acids. Why that instead of, let's say, whey protein powder? Because it doesn't have such a huge increase in insulin and other growth factors that would kind of get you out of your fast. They're very non-caloric, so to speak. So if you want and you're still building muscle and you're kind of a hard gainer like me, throw in a couple grams of essential amino acids. One of my favorite companies I use is Kion for that. They're really the goats at essential amino acids. And then guess what? I'll have a black coffee with that. Now you can do 12-12, 12 hours on, 12-hour eating window. I choose not to. But let's say your day started with the noon fast, right? Now your eating window is 8 hours, meaning you have from 12 to 8 to get all your calories in. That's easy enough, right? For women, here's what I want you to do. We're going to do a 10 to 14 method, which means that we will fast for 10 hours and we'll have a window of 14 hours, which means that if we end eating at 8 p.m., then Our next meal can be at 6 a.m. And from 6 a.m., we have till 8 p.m. to get all of our calories in. It just helps for girls just to relax. And there's so many prominent researchers on this, guys. I'm a dude, I understand. But I know from personal experience with my sister fasting, she knows that 10 hours is the sweet spot. So it's just a bit about, it's more, a little bit longer than your sleep. So you sleep 8 hours, you only got to fast for 2 hours. That's perfect. I want to note that fasting can be great, but there are dangers to it. There are incredible amounts of dangers. Something like muscle loss and the loss of metabolic activity, aka your metabolism. Also a reduction in your thyroid. Because think about this, when you're fasting for an extended period of time, your body assumes that we're in starvation mode, which means that we're in survival mode. And what should we do when we're in survival mode is slow down our activity so that we can truly survive. We don't want to rev up the engines and kind of waste all of our energy when we know we're not getting food for a while. So our body starts to slow down a bit. And that could be some of the benefits of fasting, right? Kind of slow down the metabolism. But too much of it, next thing you know, you start to lose testosterone. Girls lose essential hormones like estradiol, pregnenolone. Cortisol starts to spike up because, as our ancestors did, they needed cortisol and noradrenaline to hunt the animal. Now it's like, oh shit, now we're just stressed out, we're hungry, and our hormones are tanking. So be careful, guys. I would suggest for dudes, see what range you can. 16/8 is perfect. If you want to try a 1 day fast, you can do that too. But the whole idea of 3 day to 5 day fast every other week or some absurd thing, it's not needed. And guys and girls, if you're trying to build muscle and maintain a healthy life, it's not gonna kill you if you just fast for 12 hours. It would actually help greatly. And more science is coming out that the autophagy benefits of fasting, it sometimes takes a couple days to get those autophagy states. And autophagy is always occurring. So is it really necessary to be doing all those crazy longevity fasts and waste muscle? We know that muscle is one of the most important things going on to our later stages of life. So preserve that, right? Anyways, that's really all there is to fasting, guys. Just know it has amazing benefits. If you want to go into the science behind it, it can raise AMPK, which is one of these longevity switches. It can increase your insulin sensitivity. It can increase your blood glucose. It's amazing. The research on it is profound. It helps people with obesity, helps people with cognitive function. Just don't do too much of it. Increase your ketones production naturally with fasting. Let me know how you guys like these quick style videos. Let me know if I'm missing anything. If there's more you would like to know. Should I get more sciencey? Let me know, guys. I love you all. This is Cool Health. Make it fun to be healthy again. Thanks once again.